Plaintiff Anastasia Christakis says she and the defendant were intimate, but she didn't like his lifestyle because he used drugs and lived at home with his parents. Anastasia says the week after they stopped seeing each other, she discovered she was pregnant with his baby, and she's suing the defendant for her medical bills. Defendant Anthony Durbin says his relationship with Anastasia was purely sexual, and he broke it off with her because she was high maintenance. Anthony claims he never believed that Anastasia was pregnant with his baby because she was still seeing her ex-boyfriend, so he refuses to pay for her medical bills.
Tell me what happened.
I've known Anthony for a few years now, and he used to date one of my friends a while back, but December 2008, we started hanging out just as friends, and it kind of turned into a little bit of an intimate relationship. Basically, it was totally cool and fine. It lasted a few weeks, but basically, I kind of didn't really like his lifestyle. I mean, he lived at home with his parents, he didn't have a job, he kind of abused drugs a little bit, so I didn't really want to go through with that as anything serious. But a few days after we kind of stopped talking a little bit, I was about to get my monthly cycle, and I usually get it on Sunday. And on Monday morning, I still hadn't gotten it. So I was like, well, I'll take a pregnancy test just to, see. I took it and said I was pregnant. And it was kind of crazy. I didn't really know what to think, but he was the first person I talked to, and I called him up.
What do you mean you didn't know what to think? You knew it was him, didn't you?
Yes, I did, but I was just I had a lot of things going in my mind, like, oh my God,
Gotcha.
And so I called him and I was like, well, I'm pregnant, and he kind of didn't really believe me. So I was like, well, I am. And he's like, well, I'll call you later. I said, okay. So I go to work, and he called me, and basically he was just like, well, you need to take care of it because I'm too young for this, and I can't have this. And
give me some background on the case. She said that you pretty much were irresponsible in terms of not working, not going to school.
Yeah, that's untrue, Your Honor.
All right, tell me.
I am holding 2 jobs currently. I am starting school in May.
Good.
Me and Anna did start off, we only had about a 2-week relationship, which basically only involved sex. That's all it was. I decided I didn't want to.
You say only had a 2-week relationship to say what? That you couldn't have impregnated her? I mean, it doesn't take but an hour, but probably 2 minutes for you. I'm just saying, I don't know, maybe an hour, but whatever. I'm just saying, it doesn't take.
Yeah, it's very possible that I could have impregnated her. Okay. I'm not going to, because we were having unprotected sex. But after 2 weeks, I decided she was kind of bossy. She was high maintenance. I didn't need that in my life. I just got over a bad relationship with somebody else. I broke it off with her, and the next morning she called me and told me she was pregnant. Now that's not the first time that's happened to me before. I've broken off with a woman, and the next morning they call me and tell me they're pregnant. Okay, I'm not going to believe that, so I tell her that I'm gonna need proof. I need something that says you're pregnant. I need a pregnancy test. I need anything. Okay, and then she says, well, I could show it to you, but she never showed me anything.
Okay. Ma'am, is that true?
No, because I have the ultrasound right here.
No, I'm saying, did you show it to him? Let me see the ultrasound.
Okay.
Did you show it to him? Or show him any evidence as he requested?
I didn't get the bills for a while after we stopped talking.
The pregnancy test to show that you were pregnant.
I didn't really want to see him because he was so unsupportive through the whole thing that I really didn't want to.
You wanted the man to believe because, quite frankly, it is a common occurrence.
Right.
That when a couple break up,
yeah,
particularly younger couples, the woman calls and says, I'm pregnant. Nah. You breaking up? Nah, what are you going to do now? You're good breaking up behind. I'm like him. If it occurred in that manner, I would have had to see some proof also. Knowing the intimacy that you all experience, obviously unprotected intimacy, which is not smart. So have you proven? Go ahead. Tell me what you want me to know.
We actually did have protected sex, but at the end he would take off the condom, and that's definitely not.
Okay.
So it's definitely very possible.
Okay. So what medical bills and emotional distress are you suing him about?
Well, for medical bills, I'm suing for the ultrasound and, the usual tests that a woman would go to for all the blood testing and the ultrasound and the,
So you did not have the child?
In the end, I did decide to terminate it because I just didn't want that to happen. And the medical bills are $423 and the emotional distress because he was not there at all for me And he took it as a whole big joke the whole time for $750. So that's how I feel about it.
Did he ever agree to pay any of this?
Yes, he
because
did.
quite frankly, you're not bound. A man is not bound to provide support unless a judge or family court or magistrate orders such.
We actually had a verbal agreement on it. He said, well, you know what, right now, since I don't have a job, because at the time that we were together, he did not have a job. He said, don't worry about it. I'm going to make weekly installments, but don't worry, I will get the money to you. I said, that's fine. I gave him 2 months and I did not see anything.
And I say that because although you didn't have the child, so that's not really relevant. But I say that so that a lot of young people and mothers and fathers and others involved with providing for children, is that these side deals that parents have with each other, just pay me $200 a month and don't worry about it. Well, that's not counted when you get in front of the judge. And just for young men who think that they can make these side deals with their girlfriends or their wives or whomever to care for a child without it going through the court system, you're taking a big risk, because that woman can come back and say, I want 6 years worth.
Okay.
And in this case, however, which is a lot different, he agreed to pay
Oh,
you?
definitely.
Sir?
No, sir. No, sir.
You never agreed?
Untrue.
No, I never agreed to pay anything to her because, like I said, I'm not going to pay for something that I have no proof is mine. She was still seeing her ex-boyfriend at the same time. So,
Your Honor, that is not true. Nope. We were together from December 25th until January 27th.
Ma'am, did you want to speak?
I'm her
on, stand.
mother. Yes.
State your name.
I'm Renee Seibert. I'm Anastasia's mother, and I was with her the day.
The day.
She called me and let me know she was pregnant.
All right. I mean,
No.
I was just hoping you weren't going to say
No.
that you were
No.
in the other, in
No.
the car, in the other room. I didn't want to have to lambaste you.
Anna is
So I was
quite
going to say, you need to keep that
self-sufficient.
to yourself.
She's quite self-sufficient. I'm
Okay.
very proud of her. But she called me to let me know that she was pregnant and that she had talked to Anthony, and Anthony was not quite very supportive of her condition. And she asked me if I would go to the doctor with her. So I went with her. We had the ultrasound together. I saw the ultrasound that she was 4.5 weeks pregnant. And I'm here for her support, that she was pregnant and the time she became pregnant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have any evidence that he agreed to pay?
We just had a verbal agreement.
And he denies it.
We definitely had. I went to his house that night and he was like, don't worry about it. I know I don't have a job right now, but I'm working on it and I will pay you in weekly installments. I said, that's fine. I will give you, a couple months. I was more than fair just to pay half of it.
He denies it because he hasn't had any proof. And emotional distress is not a claim that's actionable based on boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife relations.
Okay. Well, I definitely felt like he was very unsupportive through the entire thing. He thought I was lying and I was joking. He treated it as a big joke. He still actually called me to hang out and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I said, you and I had an agreement that you're going to pay half of this. That's only fair. And I don't want to speak to you unless I have the money. And that's
None
all.
of that happened.
no, none of that. I would never tell her I would pay her for something that I don't feel I owed her.
Ma'am, I might otherwise be more inclined to take your side had you all been in a longer relationship, had the child been delivered, of course, and he had DNA tests. Mm-hmm. I have to be fair. And a 2-week relationship, he wasn't sure. There's no proof that it was his. I can't grant your judgment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Case dismissed. Have a good day.